All right, first off, let's get some things out of the way. This right here is the motor. That's what makes the car move. This part right here is a servo. It's the thing that steers the car. Every servo is going to have servo wire. It's the thing that you plug into your, find it, your receiver. This is what the receiver looks like for this Spectrum model. Well, I made it, so whatever. They're gonna look very different from model to model. It really doesn't matter. All that matters is that it has these pins and that you can at least identify which pin or which set of pins you're plugging into. That's all that matters. This one has 6 channels because it's a 6-channel receiver. Most cars, especially ones that come from ready-to-run kits or something like that, are going to come with 3-channel receivers. That's going to be enough for the throttle and the steering, and that's primarily what you're going to need. Pretty much all you're going to need, in fact. Some of them will have lights and things like that will plug into it. There'll usually be a black and red wire that just plugs straight into the bottom 2 pins usually, but you don't need to worry about that. Those are just lights, those are just aesthetics. You don't really need those to drive it. Anyways, moving on from there. Oh, hey, look at that. I just found something out about that. Anyways, moving on from there, you have your ESC. This is the thing that controls the motor. It takes the inputs from your battery, connects it to your receiver, and then pumps it back out into this that goes to your motor. Now, if you don't know what pin you need to plug this into to get it to work, that's a little tricky to get working, but it is possible. You just want to be really careful with how you do it. Now, I know that on these Spectrum receivers, I'm going to be plugging it into the, I'm going to be plugging it into the first pin, the 1/data in this case. And like I said, if you don't know what pin it is, that's perfectly fine. You just have to be really careful with how you find it. What I would do is take off all of the wheels, because that is what, if those just spin up like crazy, like you just plug it in and it's on the wrong pin and it just shoots off at full throttle, that can damage your car. So I would take off all of the wheels and, if possible, disconnect the drive shafts, but you don't need to do that. It's just, if you can, great. If you can't, don't worry about it. And then I would prop it up onto something so that when these do start spinning, inevitably, it's not going to damage anything, or at least cause as little damage as possible. Now, what you're going to want to do for that is make sure that these are all plugged in. These 3 big wires, 3 that come off of the motor, 3 that come off of the ESC. You want to make sure that those are all plugged in. In some cases, these are just going to be connected. There's not going to be these bullet connectors to disconnect them if you need to. It does not matter one bit. Sorry. Okay, just turn that off. Sorry about that. I don't use that transmitter a lot. Sorry about that. Anyways, so it does not matter what orientation you plug this into right now. What you're going to want to do is make sure that these are all plugged in. You got 3 big wires coming off of your ESC going to your motor. Then you're going to find the servo wire, as this guy is connected onto the ESC. This one, you're going to see these other 3 wires. This is just a switch. Not all ESCs are going to have them. This one does. Doesn't matter. You don't need it. It just makes life a little bit easier. So you're going to want to find the servo wire, and plug that into, frankly, you could do any slot you want to. Just like I said, you got to be careful. Like I said, in this case, I know it's 1, so I'm going to plug it into 1. And then I am going to, actually, you know what, for example's sakes, let's not do that. So I'm gonna plug it into 3. Now, another thing to keep in mind, receivers, all servo wires are going to be the same. There's going to be the red wire, which is in the middle, then there's going to be a brown wire on one side and a light color wire on another side. It could be white, it could be yellow, but those are really the only 2 common ones that I see. But anyways, you're just going to want to make sure that in 90% of use cases, it's going to be the just plug this in really quick. I think that's 3. It's going to be the yellow wire is going to be up when the receiver pins are facing out like that. If they were facing up like this and had the receiver kind of coming out instead to the side, it's still going to be yellow up. So like this is my right hand. In 99% of cases, you're going to want to hold it like this. Make sure that the yellow wire is facing to your left, I guess is the easiest way to say it, and then plug it into the receiver. It's not going to damage anything if you plug it in backwards. It's just that's the way that it works. That's how it connects to the signal and all that stuff. Okay, so turning on my transmitter. This is a plain RC plain transmitter. It's the same system for a RC car transmitter. It's just that this is the only one that I have that's an RC car transmitter because it was for a ready to run kit. But it's going to be the same system. This is going to be your throttle. It moves up and down, obviously, for the forward and backwards. So I'm just going to set that down. Don't worry about how the fact that the throttle is in the center, because that's just the way that car ESCs work, because they're designed to go forward and backwards. If it was a plane, it would be set to the bottom, because then plane motors only go forward. So just going to set it to the center. And then in this case, I'm just going to, I don't know if that's off or on. Oh well. So now plugging it in. Okay, so nothing happens because it was switched off. So I just switched the switch on. Now I'm going to connect these, but I'm not going to push them together, okay? I'm just going to make it so that those metal contacts inside of it just touch. So as you can see, it came to life. Everything's on. Nothing is exploding. None of the motor's not spinning up like crazy. Now I'm going to just hold it with my left hand. You don't got to push it in, just be careful. Now, if this was on a bad channel, if this is plugged in to the wrong channel, say it was a switch or something like that, and it just took off, the motor just took off like crazy, just started spinning like crazy, we don't want it to damage anything. So that's why we did this, where we just kind of connected those 2 contacts and held it there for a second to see if it spins up like crazy, because doing that, we can just pull it apart really quickly and it's less likely to damage anything. But as you can see, nothing happens when I do that. So I'm just gonna push it in slightly. It's holding its shape now, but it's not fully seated. And I'm going to very lightly move my throttle up and down. And as you can see, nothing is happening. So I'm just gonna recenter that and then unplug it. No harm, no foul. So obviously we now know that channel, like I said, that was plugged into channel 3. Now we know channel 3 is not my throttle channel. So I'm going to move it down to, let's say, channel 1. If I can get it to plug in. These Spectrum ones are a little finicky. Now, I already know because I've done this with these receivers. Channel 1 is my throttle pin. I'm going to do the same thing, very lightly connect them. As you can see, it turned on. That's just because on my remote, it wasn't centered properly, at least looks like it is, but that could also just be a million other things. But essentially, that's why we do this little tap. As you can see here, it comes to life. Now it's not doing anything, but essentially that's why we just very lightly connect it so that we can very quickly pull it apart if something happens. So now I'm going to push it again, just a little slightly more, just enough for it to hold its shape. And I'm going to lift it up, and I don't know if you can see it in the video. I'm going to very lightly move my throttle, and it starts spinning. So now we know that, let's just unplug that. Now we know channel 1 is my throttle. That's good. Now, for the sake of demonstrating, and because RC planes are a little bit more finicky when it comes to throttles like that, I'm just going to disconnect these. Oh, another thing. Now, I'm not 100% certain how it works when it comes to the RC or the car controllers, because they sorry about that. Because the car controllers might have a reverse switch for the throttle. I'm not 100% certain on that, but if when you push if you push it forward and it goes backwards, so like in this case, I'd be pushing that up and I would want it to move forwards. I don't use Spectrum very much. I don't know what that was. I'm just gonna turn that off for now. So now if I wanted it to move forward, I push this forward and it moves backwards. All you have to do to fix that is so this would obviously be what it would like to be normal. All you would have to do is unplug 2 of these wires, switch them out, and now it should work correctly. If it doesn't, it might be a problem with your ESC. It might be like a programming thing. You might have to look up a manual for that. I'm not 100% certain because not all ESCs are built the same way. Okay, so now just for the sake of my safety, I'm going to disconnect the motor, and now we want to figure out the steering servo. So again, we're just gonna, and you don't have to be as careful with this, because if this one just starts spinning up like crazy, it's not gonna do anything because it's gonna hit its limit and it's gonna stop. So you can just, and again, you make sure that all of these wires don't have like any weird cables connected. You want to be a straight shot. Ignore that. This is like a polarity thing. You don't got to worry about that. You might see it on yours, but it's not a big deal if it's there or not. You don't want to make sure that there's not like a splitter or something like that on it. That's essentially where 2 wires, let me just pull this up. So this is a splitter. It's got 2 of these female ends onto it that would take one of these male servo ends. So you want to make sure that this isn't on there. You don't need it in 99% of cases, but like if you have a bigger RC car that requires 2 servos, you're probably going to have something like this on it. Or it might, there's like some mixing you can do to get it so that you can have 2 different channels for it, but you don't got to worry about any of that stuff. So we're just going to throw that away. So obviously, this is my main servo. This is my big steering servo. This is the wire that it's attached to. Now, I'm sorry, it's not really zoomed in, but whatever. This is the same orientation. Yellow wire up top, red wire in the middle, brown wire on the bottom. All you're going to want to do, plug it into any random pin. It doesn't matter, as long as it's the same orientation, with yellow being up, or white, or whatever you may have, and then brown being on the bottom with red in the middle. So we're gonna plug that in. I have just disconnected this, so it doesn't matter if I plug it. I've disconnected the motor from the ESC, so it doesn't matter if I plug it in and it has the wheels on or anything like that. The motor is completely disconnected, so it's not going to damage anything if it's powered on. Sorry, no, there we go. That was the high throttle thing. It's more of a RC plane thing. It's not really a car thing, but so you don't have to worry about that. But so I'm gonna plug this in, and as you could hear, the servo moved. Let's see. So right now I have it on this, which is usually in plane terminology, this would be the rudder. And I don't want that. You know, if this is gonna be my throttle, I want to use this hand for my steering. In car terms, you'd want this to be your steering. That's broken. Interesting. And this would be your throttle, obviously. So now let's see. So I want this one, and obviously that's not what I want. So leaving the ESC plugged in, we can just disconnect this and move it to a different one. Let's try 3. See what happens. Nothing there. Nothing there. Oh, look at that. Okay, so I got it moving up and down. We don't want that, so we're gonna do the same thing. Unplug it. Just try a different slot. I don't even know what that is. That's 3. Okay. Is that 3? No, that's 2. Sorry about that. Hey, look at that. We've got it correct. So now that's how I want that. Now, if this is reversed, if you turn right and it goes left, sort of thing, on car radios, this isn't a very smart one. This is just a dumb one. But on car radios, you usually wouldn't have a big screen like this to help you dial in your channels and get all that stuff fixed. What I would do in this one is I would go into servos. I would do it, but this controller is really messed up and I can't really change anything. So what I would do is I'd go to servos on this, and then I would reverse it there. It's kind of, I guess I can't really explain to it on this, but in 90% of cases on a controller like this, there would usually be a button somewhere back here, around here on the grip, underneath somewhere, that would say reverse, and most of the time that's going to be for your steering. So I would try that, see if that works, get all that figured out, and move on from there. Okay, so that was an explanation on trying to find the correct channel for a RC car. Really quickly, let's just look at this one, which is this was a ready-to-run model that I got a while ago. I don't even remember what model it was. I think it was like Eachine or something like that. Now you can see this one's a little bit harder to see, but this is a ESC receiver all-in-one. Now, in most cases, you're not going to want that, but whatever. This is just an all-in-one, so you don't got to worry about that. We got our battery lead. Looks like I'm not 100% certain what these are because I haven't looked at them. We've got lights here, lights in the back. Here are those 3 wires. Looks like they come off, maybe. Yes, yeah, they come off. So I could swap them out and change the direction of the motor if I wanted to. I think it's running correctly. I haven't turned it on in a long time, but we'll just see. And then this would be where you would adjust it if this is the kind that you would have. So it looks like this one right here, it says it right there. You can see it, sorry if it's not very good. It says right there, that's like servo. So that's gonna be my steering wire. So I would, now again with this one it's a little bit easier because it labels everything and there's really only one thing that I could plug it into. But if I didn't know, we could do the same thing, unplug these, power in your battery, and then just move it from channel to channel, trying to find which one is the correct steering. And then, like I said, on this one, I think it's either this one or that one. You can see they don't really line up correctly, but I'm just gonna plug it in there. Again, in this case, the red wire or the yellow wire, white wire are facing in towards it, and then the black wire is facing out. You're just gonna match it. It doesn't matter if you plug it in incorrectly, but it won't work if it is plugged in incorrectly, but it's not gonna damage anything. So just keep that in mind. And go from there. So yeah. So that's my quick explanation about this. This is not really quick, it was 20 minutes, but hey, if you need any more help, don't hesitate to ask. And this is, like I said, this is kind of a jerry-rigged thing for someone to help them, but thank you for watching, and goodbye.